And good afternoon, racing fans. Jim Miller and David Kaplan down here for another edition of the Derby Prep Show. But, Cap, it's a great weekend for sports first. So before we even jump into Derby Preps, it's Masters weekend, my friend. This is a really fun weekend from a wagering point of view.
It is. We've got the Masters right over our shoulder. And, again, you've got the PointsBet Sportsbook right here. You've got your Club Hawthorne app. You watch all these games, watch all the horses. It's an awesome, awesome sports weekend.
It is. It really is a great sports weekend. And I'll tell you, it's been a lot of great sports weekends stacked up. You look at last weekend, you had NCAA Final Fours. I thought the women's Final Four might have been even more intriguing than the men's. But let me ask you there, officiating. Officiating in the women's championship, it seemed like they inserted themselves into the game a little bit. We've seen it in MLB the last few days. Manny Machado getting kicked out for a pitch violation. Tim Anderson getting kicked out for a time clock violation. Shouldn't they be trying to keep the stars in the game a little bit more from your perspective? Has this been a topic you guys are covering on air over at ESPN?
Right, so you and I are going to disagree.
Yeah.
The fastest way to get the rank and file to pay attention to the rules is kick a star out.
Yeah.
Tim knows that he cannot argue balls and strikes.
True.
And then after the game, he's saying, I wasn't talking to him, I was talking to the pitcher. You know what? Just play the game. Stop running your mouth, and you will get to stay in the game. And when you kick Manny Machado out, guess what? The rank and file go, whoa.
Right.
Kicked him out.
And that was first inning, yeah.
I better fall in line. And then Shohei Ohtani last night became the first player ever to have a pitch clock violation as a batter and as a pitcher in the same game.
Right. It's one of those things for baseball. I love the change for baseball because the games are moving more quickly. There's more action more quickly. I hate when I'm following a game on the app and it takes forever just to see the result of a pitch. I mean, you could be a minute between pitches. So that's been a lot of fun for those changes too. I'm curious to see if they do fall in line. I hope they do. I think they're going to. But what about like the women's final there? When you're looking at some of those calls, all right, you have the T on Caitlin Clark for rolling the ball out of bounds, but then the LSU coach spent half the game on the floor and nothing happened on that end. Did you think there was a little bit of a double standard between player and coach on that for how the refs treated it?
Possibly. I know Kim Mulkey is all of the coach,
Yep.
all over the sidelines.
Yep.
Take it from a guy who got reprimanded for doing just that.
Right.
They usually will let you, coach,
Right.
back up. When you, in the glare of the game, roll the ball out of bounds, you're going to get nailed. You just are. But, you know, she had an offensive foul where
Yeah.
I thought her arm was here.
Yep.
If you extend, that's the offensive foul.
Right.
I didn't think she extended.
I didn't either.
I thought it was ticky-tack.
Yeah, I thought it was ticky-tack. And right when they were on a run, all this happened and just kind of completely changed the game. What I thought was really cool, though, and this being the father of a female athlete, the viewership for the game was awesome. There was
Amazing.
a ton of people watching. It was very cool for that Final Four.
It was amazing, and we talked about it on our radio show, and you know, I had somebody call in and go, it's bigger than the men's. It's not, and
No,
it
but-
doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
We don't have to compare it to the men. Let's just say Caitlin Clark is an amazing star.
Yep.
And Angel Reese is an amazing player for LSU. And it was two wonderful teams. It
And
was a lot of fun.
The thing that I think we're going to see too, before, and we will jump into racing, but before we get into it, women's sports in college, because of the name, image, likeness ability to make some money on that, you might see them stay longer in college before going to the WNBA because it's a little bit harder to get a spot in the WNBA, and a lot of these women end up having to play overseas. I'm tending to wonder, like somebody like Caitlin Clark, for example, you're going to see her next year play another full college season, and she'll probably make more money that season than she would as a pro.
No question about it, because the WNBA salaries are very small
Yeah.
compared to, well, not even on the stratosphere of NBA players.
Right.
But I think it was Candace Parker. What was she making, $150,000 with the
And she was a
Chicago
stud.
Sky?
Yeah.
Stud. Most marketable player in the league. In NIL, oh, my God, the
Yeah.
money could be off the charts.
Yeah, it could. It's a lot of fun, though, but it was. It was a really fun weekend. All right, Masters this weekend. Who are your players? Who are you watching? I know everybody, they're following Tigers every single shot, which they're going to do. The way he started, they might only be following him for 2 days.
Correct.
Because he may not play on the weekend. But going through, I mean, I, of course, have my players. I'm cheering for a guy like Cam Smith. JT, I'm going to follow throughout the course of the weekend. Jordan Spieth and that. Who are your guys for the Masters?
So the ones that I favorited
Yes.
that I'm playing.
Your list is about as big as mine.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I
Okay.
have John Rahm,
Yep, good day.
Justin Thomas,
Yep.
Jason Day, Justin Rose, McElroy, and Jordan Spieth. Those are my
Rory
favorites.
was like 7-1 to win it, and that would be the
He
Grand
was.
Slam for him. So
That would be the career Grand Slam.
And Tiger's always going to take all the action there. Here's the cool thing about it, and we're sitting in a sports book so we can talk about it. You can bet live during the course of the rounds. They put
Correct.
day-to-day matchups up, top 15, top 20, top 30. It is. It's just really cool to sit there and have the live action for all these events,
and
too.
as I'm looking right now, as you and I are taping, Victor Hovland's run away and hid. He's 6
He's
under
good.
through 12, and I thought the big swing for him was on 10. He left it short side and in a bunker, and I was listening on Masters Radio coming here, and the announcer said, well, you're going to have to try and avoid bogey. There's no way you're getting up and down, and he did.
Yeah, and that's saying he's very good, and he kind of flies under the radar a little bit.
Does.
But he's very talented.
Very talented.
All right, so Cap, this morning, we talked last week a little bit about a horse by the name of Two Phils. This morning, the TV crew and I went out on the backside, got to see Larry Ravelli, talked to him a little bit about Two Phils and that, talked to him about the Derby experience. And before you and I comment about the horse, Larry Ravelli commented about what he's hoping for
I love Larry
that first
Ravelli.
Saturday in May. So here's my question to Larry about the post position for the Kentucky Derby.
That's a great feeling.
Exactly. All right, so let's talk real quickly just about race specifics. The post draw is the Monday prior.
Correct.
20 horses in the gate. Do you really care where you draw?
Not really. I really don't. I probably wouldn't want the one hole, so to say, but it really doesn't matter because he can put himself anywhere. I just want him to be covered up somewhere going into the first turn, and you got a quarter of a mile, obviously, to get. If Jared can't do that in a quarter mile, we're in trouble. Been doing a good job of it lately, so yeah, as long as he gets behind somebody at some point, I'm not really concerned about the post.
All right, so Cap, when Larry's talking about this, he's basically saying it's a full field of 20 in that. As long as he's not in post number one, it really doesn't matter for a horse like Two Phils, and that's pretty cool because you get a look at this horse out on the racetrack and galloping and everything, and you see he's a very chill horse. He's a mellow horse, kind of like his trainer in that. Seems like he's kind of emanating everything over to the racehorse too.
Yeah, the horse is really talented, and I think getting it back here.
Yeah.
And again, I've never trained a horse. I probably never will train a horse. But it would seem to me to put him in familiar territory, the trainer sleeping in his own bed every night.
Right.
It's not like you're on this road trip for a month. So
Right.
I would think familiar surroundings, familiar people should be good for Two Phils.
Yeah, and Larry's won 11 graded stakes, but he hasn't had a run like this to the Derby. And, I mean, you look at this horse there. He's standing out here on the racetrack and he looked awesome this morning. Larry's just kind of hanging out, and I said, hey, when are you going to Kentucky? And he said, I'm going to wait until 6 days out. We'll do everything here. We'll be in the same surroundings. We'll train over the racetrack that we like. We'll get the workouts here at Hawthorne and then go over to Churchill Downs. I think that's the right move. Keep everything kind of as familiar as possible. You can only do so much when there's 100,000 people the first Saturday in May, but make it as easy on the horse and yourself until you get to that point.
I would love to ask Larry, will he play noise here with speaker? Will you rig something up? You can't simulate, as you said, coming out that long walking out.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Roar of 100,000.
And it's true because it's all the pomp and circumstance of the Derby. The walk over from the backside. They get him to the paddock so early. It's a new paddock this year. They're trying to make it bigger, which is good because it always got so crowded. But he did say, yeah, I'm going to have to school the horse ahead of time and do everything I can. But when we were out there this morning, Cap, it was really cool because the horse came on the racetrack. He literally just stood there for 10 minutes and watched the surroundings. It was like, okay, let's see what's going on, and just no rush for anything. So that was good. Nothing seemed to phase this horse.
So my favorite athlete of all time is Secretariat.
Yeah.
And there's this story that Secretariat's out like that, and a plane flew over. And he looked at the plane, and then someone took his picture, and he stopped and turned his head so they could get a good shot. I'm like, that horse is human.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool to hear.
There's only one racehorse that I remember that was like that I've seen, which was Cigar. When Cigar ran at Arlington Park, and it was the same thing. When he would walk in the morning, he'd get to every corner of the shed row and know somebody was there with a camera and just basically stop and look and pose.
Here you go.
Yep, and then go back about his business. But every single corner he would do it. So instead of a half hour to walk, it would take him almost an hour. But he just knew there was that presence. And some race horses are like that. I hope this is one of those that is like that. Yes, we're talking Cigar and Secretariat, but it would be really cool, and I think Two Phils could run very big in the Derby.
I hope, and I think you're going to get pretty good odds on it.
I think you are going to get pretty good odds, too. All right, we had two Derby preps the last week, Cap. The first off being the Arkansas Derby, and this was interesting because we just talked about Two Phils. The horse that defeated Two Phils at Fairgrounds a couple of starts back was a horse by the name of Angel of Empire. And Angel of Empire went over to the Arkansas Derby, was sent off at odds of 9-2, Cap. This horse ran a bang-up race, ended up winning by 4 1/4 lengths. So now you got 2 horses that are coming in out of the Risen Star at Fairgrounds that have won the Jeff Ruby Stakes and 2 fills. And Angel of Empire was impressive winning the Arkansas Derby, too.
Yeah, really impressive. And you just, we'll get to Forte in a minute. You just wonder, can a horse like that, can 2 fills, I know Forte is going to take a ton of the money and have really short odds, and everyone thinks, is this another super horse? These 2 horses look really good.
Yeah, they do look really good. Angel Empire was good. King Russell ran second at 58-1. It's a lot of points to get towards the Derby, so that'll be interesting. Reincarnate was a little disappointing to me. Rocket Can was a little bit disappointing to me. I know they were still talking about trying to maybe find a way to work Rocket Can into the Derby picture, but man, that horse would have to run a phenomenal race in the Derby to even be a factor, I would think, off that last out.
Yeah, do you think Angel of Empire is a factor to win the
Yes,
Derby?
yes, for sure, off that race. I'd much rather see a horse in their final prep win impressively and win easily and not be all out. And the reason I say that is because when we flip over to the Florida Derby, Cap, I did not like Forte's race. This was a horse that to me should have won by 4 or 5 lengths and should have won
that
easily.
Horse coming out of the post position that it was in, I believe the 11.
Yep.
2 for 47.
And we talked about that, yeah.
In that race. 2 for 47, and he found a way to win.
He did find a way to win.
Didn't run a great race.
No, and that's the thing. And again, we keep trying to tie it back to 2 fills, but it's only for the aspect that when you talk to a trainer about it, Larry had said, hey, it was great that we did not have to set down for the drive in the Jeff Ruby Stakes to win and take some out of the horse. You tend to wonder what Forte had to do just to get the victory in that race, because they already had enough points, of course, that you wanted to win. But when you're 1-5 in a race like that and you're having to drive from the half-mile pole all the way to the wire, I don't think they were necessarily expecting that.
Probably not, but the horse had to go, I believe, 5 wide.
Yeah, it was a wide trip throughout.
It was a very wide trip throughout. It's coming from an unfavorable post position, and in the end, they put a 1 next to his name.
That's true. Now, when we're talking Derby in a few weeks and we have the field drawn for the race, I can tell you this, I am not going to include him anywhere. I could be completely wrong. I will leave him off all my tickets and not include him anywhere, and I think he'll be a heavy favorite.
How heavy?
I think he's going to be 2-1 in a field of 20.
And you're going to leave him off?
Leave him off. Tossing him. Completely toss him. And I could be completely wrong.
If you told me he was going off at 1-5, I get it.
Yeah.
2-1?
I think he'll be 2-1.
Wow. I'm surprised.
I think they'll lay him as the 5-2 favorite. I'm going to toss him.
Surprises me.
That's good, though. Surprises are fun, Cap. All right, we got 3 Derby preps this week. Okay. The first of them at Keeneland, the Bluegrass here. We go 1 1/8 miles. It's a field of 11 in the Bluegrass. We'll be curious to see, because Clear the Air is entered in here and in the Wood Memorial. Clear the Air is 30-1 for the field for the Bluegrass. But you look up and down this field of 11, Cap, and let's start on the inside with Tappet Trice. This is a horse that is your 5-2 morning line favorite, a winner of 3 straight. I really liked the race out of this horse last out. What do you think of a horse like Tappet Trice?
Okay, so as I went through all my stuff that I do, he won the Tampa Derby coming from next to last. He gets more distance here, and I think more distance makes him the horse to beat. Not telling you he's going to win. I'm not telling you he's my pick, but I think getting a little more distance here, you got Pletcher and Luis Saez, pretty dynamic combination. It's a really, really good horse.
I don't mind. Some people were saying, oh, we don't really want the inside draw. I don't mind it. I think you have to get a little education. The horse got educated working around horses from the outside last time. Now you get a little bit of dirt kicked in your face, because if you're going to run in the Derby with this running style, you're going to get dirt kicked in your face.
You better get used to it.
Yes, and this horse has enough points. So I'll be curious to see how to tap at Trice. Now, you look a couple of slots down to the 3-hole with Verifying, Cap. This is a horse that's your 3-1, a second choice in here. They ran in the Rebel in that last out. That was a sloppy track.
And
that could be the key.
That.
Okay.
I'm tossing that.
Okay.
On Verifying. Brad Cox, really good trainer. Tyler Gaffleone, real solid jockey. Last time out, loses sloppy track. I tossed that. I like everything else about it.
I'm with you. All right, next to that horse, Classic Car Wash is 12-1 in here, Cap. Consistency-wise, the horse hasn't done a whole lot wrong. What do you make of Classic Car Wash?
Okay, so Classic Car Wash is changing jockeys again to Javier Castellano. It lost in the Tampa Derby to Tappet Trice. I still think this horse is live in this race.
I do too.
I really do.
And I think you're going to get a price. I really think you're going to get a price. So, I mean, the horse has hit the board in 4 out of 5 starts. And the last race in the Tampa Bay Derby wasn't bad because this was a horse that got bumped out of the start and got jostled around a little bit. All right, looking nearer the outside cap from the 10 hole, Raise Cane. Now, Raise Cane's an interesting horse. You talk about a bang-up race. This horse was 23-1 and completely dismissed in the Gotham. That was a huge effort there, and I'll be curious to see what we get out of Raise Cane.
Okay, so I have Raise Cane.
Yep.
I think it needs a fast pace.
I agree with you.
If it is a slower pace up front, bye-bye, you're done.
Yeah.
If they burn a little bit early, look out.
And that's
this horse comes from behind.
Yeah, and that's going to be the question for that one. It is. It's a really good race. Sun Thunder, I'll be curious to see as well, too, only because this horse ran in the Risen Star and then ran in the Louisiana Derby a couple of weeks ago. They're trying to get those points to get into the race cap. So, I mean, it's kind of a hard thing. You have to be all out to get enough points to get in there, but you're going to be a decent price. And Florent Giroux's ride, and you and I have been able to interview him a few times.
Yeah.
He's a great rider.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
We're going to cheer him on for sure. All right, so after that, we're going just in order of post time here. So actually the Santa Anita Derby is going to be the next race that will go. They're going 1 1/8 here. It goes as race 6 at Santa Anita on Saturday. And you look at the Santa Anita Derby, Cap, looking up and down the field right now, your favorite is going to be Practical Move. That's the horse from the 5 hole here. It was a huge, huge effort last out. You don't see a whole lot of 3-year-olds post triple-digit buyer speed figures, but Practical Move was pretty impressive in that last start.
I don't think you're going to get very good odds.
Nope, I agree.
At all. I think it's 8-5 morning line.
Yep.
Tim Yakteen is a very good trainer.
Yep.
Out of the Bob Baffert School.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
I think you may be able to find more value in this
like
race.
It.
More value.
All right.
Low expectations.
Okay.
So it'll be a long, long shot.
Yep.
That horse, it's a smaller field, 9 horses. There's something about that horse. I think it's training well. Back in February, it ran 59-4 for 5 furlongs, and then it went 48-1 for 4 furlongs. I think this horse is sharp and ready.
We saw
it's from Japan.
We saw in the Sunland Derby too. It was a really interesting race in the Sunland Derby because all the favorites took action, duked it out, and then all of a sudden you have these 2 long shots that come rolling by. Mandarin Hero, the Japanese horse, is a horse that does intrigue me here, Cap. Only for the fact that when you watch the Dubai World Cup card, the Japanese horses dominated that day. It didn't matter what level, turf, dirt, anything. They were dominant. And this is a horse that they say, okay, this is kind of the lower circuit that the horse was running on. But the top circuit of Japanese racing, the majority of those races come on the turf. So when you're wanting to run on the dirt, you kind of have to run in what they call the lower circuit. But those races are really good. This is a solid racehorse that's going to settle and run on late, but I think you get every bit of the 8-1.
Can you explain to me, someone who I love workout times.
Yeah.
You know horses better than I know horses.
Right.
Why would this horse go around on April the 3rd and give you, I don't think, a very impressive time?
Just enough to record a time.
47 horse just to record.
Yeah.
Just to kind of take the car out and
it depends on racetrack to racetrack. Like, for example, here at Hawthorne, if you haven't raced in the last 30 days, you have to have a recorded workout within that time, even if it's what's called the limit. Here, a limit half mile is 54 and 4/5.
47 horses went out that day.
He probably went out and did enough to gallop around to get a time.
He was 47.
And that's because you look at it, the last race was February the 23rd. So you're outside of the 1-month window from your last race, and because they don't have recorded workout times there, you have to throw something up there on paper.
So you're telling me don't overreact.
No, don't overreact at all.
Okay.
All it is going out there to put some on paper to qualify to get into the race. All right, what about the 3-horse Go Rocket Ride in here, Cap? When you have only 2 lifetime starts, you're coming from the barn of Richard Mandela. But if we're talking about how Practical Move is going to be a short price at 8-5, can a horse like Go Rocket Ride continue to step up in only its 3rd lifetime start?
Yeah, I think that it can. Its workout times are very, very sharp.
Yep.
Richard Mandela, he was big up at Arlington for a long, long time, and then here.
Yep.
So looking at this horse, I believe that horse is very, very live.
I agree with you as well. It's going to be a very interesting race at Santa Anita for the Santa Anita Derby, but I'm with you. I think we try to beat the favorite, don't you?
Probably try to beat the favorite. Tell me what you think of a horse called Skinner.
Skinner's interesting to me because the first 3 starts, You didn't see a whole lot. Those were all as a 2-year-old. So sometimes you give a horse a little bit of time away from the racetrack, and then they come back and they mature a little bit at the start of their 3-year-old season. Now, the first start out of the year, the horse added Lasix for that start and ran a bang-up race. That was a really good effort. You come back then for the next start out, and you have to come off Lasix because it's a graded stake for 3-year-olds. And the horse, at least I thought, pretty much repeated that performance. I thought that was a good effort behind Practical Move and Go Rocket Ride. Everybody else seemed to think so, too. The horse was bet down to 5-2 in the race. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a horse that contends, and I think you get every bit of the 4-1. I think you might actually get longer odds than 4-1 on that horse.
And I have a soft spot in my heart
Yep.
for John Shareff's, the trainer.
Yep.
He was the trainer of Giacomo.
It was. So there you go.
There you go.
I like it, Cap. I like your thinking process here. Try to find a price. Try to beat the favorite there in the Santa Anita Derby. All right, Cap, the last race that we're going to look at, Aqueduct actually has a big card here on Saturday. So it goes as race number 11. It's the Wood Memorial. It goes a mile and an eighth in here. And, Cap, there's 13 horses in this race. But let's start with the 7, Arctic Arrogance. This was a horse that I actually liked in the Withers in that last out. And the horse didn't run a bad race by any means. But I think Arctic Arrogance is a horse that could be a factor in here at a decent price.
So Arctic Arrogance ran the top buyer of his career on this track
Yep.
at Aqueduct.
Yep.
Very solid horse. I'm looking at a horse who is in an outside post
Right.
position. I like this horse, Hit Show.
Yep.
Hit Show is an intriguing animal.
And you asked me when we came in here, okay, what about the post position for a race like this when you're talking the 13 hole? If you're a speed horse from the outside and you're committed to have to go to Clare, then I'm worried about it a little bit. Hit Show is not really that type of racehorse. He can kind of settle back and drop in. And you'll see some riders at times, especially in a longer race like this. They'll come out of the gate, and it's almost just a left turn. Go right in, get as much into the inside as you can. Maybe sit 3 or 4 wide through the first turn, and then really position yourself. I think that's what Manny Franco does on this horse. And if that's the case, Hit Show should get a good trip and be a factor.
Again, Brad Cox, really impressive trainer.
Yep.
And I'm with you. I don't think this horse is going to be a bat out of hell right out
Right.
of the gate.
Right.
Make a left turn, sit down, and then we'll make our move.
Yeah, just kind of sit there and just chill, just hang out. Just ease your way inside and ease your way through the trip. So I'll be curious to see kind of how things unfold for Hit Show. The horse on the inside in this race is the one Dreamlike. This is a Todd Pletcher trainee. Pletcher has so many horses, so many Derby contenders, and that they laid this horse at 7-2 in the morning line, which was interesting because the horse is still a maiden coming into this spot, but I guess you look at speed figures, yeah, the horse figures. Todd Pletcher in New York, yeah, of course, you're going to give him a little bit of a shot. I think 7-2 was a little bit short, especially in the inside of 13. What do you think of a horse like Dreamlike?
I think Dreamlike, and I have my analytics
Yep.
site up here, they have Dreamlike as a regressor
Yeah.
going into this race.
Yeah.
Just so everyone knows, Predictiform is where I
Yeah.
subscribe. They have Arctic Arrogance
Okay.
as the top contender, Hit Show as a fringe, and then they have 2 breakout horses.
Yeah, I
that
was
would
curious
be Shadow
looking-
Dragon and Mr. Swagger. Mr. Swagger is going to give you
He's gonna be a
every
monster
bit of
price.
30 to 40 to 1.
And here's the thing. All right, let's look at Mr. Swagger because this was a horse that broke its maiden at first asking, going 6.5 furlongs. They raced in the Gotham. This was a horse that had an ugly, ugly trip. Got away slowly, then made a middle move, then got jostled around a little bit and flattened out late, and that was in the mud. I think you get more than 30 to 1 on this horse, Cap. I think if all 13 stay in, you're going to get 40, 50 to 1 on Mr. Swagger.
Easily, and its last work was 4 furlongs at 47-3
Yep.
on a good, not fast track. So we're going to find out.
Yeah, that horse is going to fly under the radar a little bit. You did mention Shadow Dragon as well. This one from the barn of trainer Belmont. This is a horse that's interesting, too, because you look, it ran at the Belmont at Aqueduct meet last fall and broke its maiden there. Then you went over to the Holy Bull and finished second, beating only 3/4 to Rocket Can, who we just talked earlier on as a horse that's trying to get into the Derby for sure. And then that last out in the Fountain of Youth, I mean, Forte was in there, Rocket Can was in there. That was a tough bunch. I think they find things a little bit easier here.
A little bit
Yeah.
easy, and they'll pile up some points.
Right.
That horse is live.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing, Cap, like you mentioned. Points are so important. 100 points to the winner. Then you work your way 40, 30, 20, and 10 for the underneath spots. It's probably going to take 35 to 40 points to get into the Derby, don't you think?
Yeah, and last year, what did it take, 20?
It was 20 last year. You had a couple of defections, and you had that scratch at the last second, and then Rich Strike draws in.
Correct.
there could be some horses that are on the outside looking in that aren't bad race horses by any means. They just may not have run great races. So
Or they got in the wrong spot.
right, exactly. And that's the thing here, too. And now you look at these 3 final preps, you're 4 weeks out from the Derby. So there's going to be a lot of time to really look into the Derby and not a whole lot of – there's no
believe that?
opportunities after this to get points either.
You're talking to our guy, Larry Ravelli,
Yeah.
today. Two Phils is right back over
Yep.
here. And that horse in a month might be a Kentucky Derby winner.
And the cool thing is they don't have to sweat anything in regards to points. They
We're
don't
in.
have to sweat anything in regards
Right.
to preps. We're in. Let's set our course and go from there. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah,
for them.
the setup, like we talk about your White Sox.
Yep.
They make the playoffs. You would love to have your pitching set up so you're not using your ace the last day of the season to
Yep.
get in. Nope, we're all set. We clinched 2 weeks ago. That's what two Phils did.
Yeah, it is a 2 Phils day. And hey, all right, setups are great things. And I heard you guys on the air. You were talking a little bit about it this morning, and it's almost a little bit in the opposite. Our beloved Chicago Bulls, very disappointing the last 2 games. But you know what?
Brutal.
You're locked into the 10. Why would you play any of your big guys? I mean, maybe
So-
a couple minutes here or there.
So Billy Donovan
Yep.
talked last night after the game. I don't think any of the big 3 are playing Friday.
No reason to.
I would tell them, okay, we're playing Dallas. Go to dinner with your wife.
Yeah.
Sleep in. Watch a movie. I don't even want to see you in the gym.
Yeah, let the G League guys play.
Right. And then Sunday, you get Detroit
Detroit.
to end the season.
Right.
Billy feels like they should play some to be in rhythm. I would go, okay, DeMar, what do you want to do?
Right.
I'll give you the day off, or you can play.
Yeah.
If he says, I want to play, and here's why, it's not stat padding. He's not
Sure.
fighting for a scoring title. I let the players make that call.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, to me, you treat it like NFL preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Give your starters a couple drives, a quarter and a half type of thing, and
That's
then
it.
say, okay, stay healthy. We'll see you
We're
in the
good.
playoffs.
See ya.
At least they made the play in, and we'll see what happens. They've been utterly disappointing.
Very
but
disappointing.
We'll see what happens. All right, hey, on the north side, your Cubs, they're showing some good signs. There's some things that have been stuff I really like. The veterans they brought in are actually delivering and hitting the ball pretty
Dansby
well.
Swanson's killing it.
He's been awesome. You've gotten production out of Trey Mancini. Cody Bellinger's been all right. Hosmer's been all right. Now let's just get Seiya Suzuki back.
Yeah, he hit a home run yesterday. I was
Okay.
looking at the video today in the Arizona spring
Yep.
extended
Spring training, yep.
and he crushed one to left field. Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as we know we're going to have regularly warm, it doesn't have to be 90, but 65 or above, get him here.
Yeah.
I don't want him playing when it's 35 degrees.
Right. Let's get him healthy and go from there. On the south side, my White Sox, I like the fact that Pedro Grifol is actually letting the starters work a little bit because I think the bullpen is going to be an issue. How scary is it, though, when Dylan Cease was not great yesterday, and that meant, what, 1 hit and 8 strikeouts in 5 innings?
He gave up a solo home
Yeah.
run, and he walked 5, but
Yeah.
8 strikeouts, went, all right, I'm good. See you later.
And that's not great. I'll take that anytime.
That was pretty amazing.
That was pretty amazing. It definitely wasn't Michael Kopech because it was a launch city off of him, but
Oh, boy.
that was ugly.
5 home runs.
Yeah. All right,
4
Cap.
in
So
1 inning.
all right. So this weekend, hey, it's Easter weekend. So of course you're going to have to spend your family time in that and enjoy everything with them. But on Sunday you have Hawthorne Racing Live. We'll talk Saturday and Sunday because Saturday you have a bunch of Derby preps, but you have the Masters too. So in the man cave, how are the TVs set up for your weekend this weekend, Cap?
So it will have, like, Masters will be on the big screen,
Yep.
and then I have 4 monitors right above. So I will have my Club Hawthorne app out. I will have my plays in. My Masters plays
Yep.
are already in. I'll live bet on points bet. And then probably Masters, horse racing there, the Bulls on one of the monitors, maybe a baseball game or 2.
It'll be a nice weekend, Cap. It'll be a whole lot of
best.
fun. Great racing this weekend. Good luck to everybody with all your selections, Cap. To you and your family, have a very happy Easter, my friend.
You too. Happy holidays, man.
All right, good luck to everybody. Another edition of the Derby Prep Show.